The AIE conference is currently underway with some great content and good interaction going. I think it's great that there's probably a much bigger audience because so many more people can attend the conference because it is virtual. It is sad for many of us who'd love to have a cup of coffee and network, but it is what it is, and in these times we work with what we work. So FAnews is one of the media partners for the AIE conference, and we are specifically talking to sponsors and also sponsors who very specifically are part of the sponsors who made sure that there is 40 Black SMME brokers that could and can attend the conference at the moment. I think they are very happy. I see the interaction on the platform is good, and I see some good interaction from many of these guys. So today I have the privilege to speak to Muzi Dladla, Executive Manager, Stakeholder Management at Sasria, who is one of these very important sponsors. Hi, Muzi.
Hello, Renette. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you? That was a very big intro there. Thank you for making the time. I think things at Sasria is fairly hectic at the moment, so I appreciate the time that you make for me.
Great, no problem. Pleasure to be here.
So first of all, the sponsorship. The sponsorship is very important for the IISA, and they've really given a lot of attention and time for this. Why is it also important for Sasria?
Well, I mean, it all goes with really where we're going with the business, because we've decided as Sasria that we need to now really start focusing more on our mandate, on why we actually really exist and why we're here. And as you know, we have a dual mandate, which pretty much talks to a couple of things. One of those things is to contribute positively towards transformation in the financial services, as you know, in line with the NDP. So obviously doing that, it means we're looking at the various communities, first of all. So not just the communities, but the environment as well, the societies that we even the distribution channels that we engage into. So there needs to be some sort of level of transformation that comes into that. So as you know, the traditional insurance market is predominantly, high end for so there are certain markets that are not included in that, particularly the lower LSMs on individuals and SMMEs in terms of businesses. So obviously in getting to those markets, we need brokers. So brokers are critically important for us to be able to do that, because as you know, we are an intermediated entity. So we work with the various insurance companies, but brokers are at the forefront, because for them, they are the ones who get to the clients first, and secondly, they're the ones who provide advice to the clients, as well as rendering intermediary services. So as you know, even with the various insurance companies that are there, brokers play one of the biggest roles. So in transforming, then it means then that you're not only looking at the high-end market, which is adequately serviced at this point. So we're looking at bringing in the advisors and the intermediary service providers that will be able to interact with the relevant markets as well. So as you saw now, in the past, when there could be riots like the magnitude, I don't even think we've had a magnitude to this extent, but even in the past, when we had riots, they would normally, target really large corporate and big structures. But we've seen now that it changed, that now there's damage that has been caused to even small, even Black-owned small enterprises. So it is now imperative that we then, as Sasria, we ensure that we empower the distribution channel and the advice givers and those who render the service, the intermediary services, so that they can be able to get to the client and bring those clients on board. So the uninsured markets are a gap currently we've identified. In fact, we had already identified this. We are now putting plans into place to ensure that we get to that part of the market. But obviously, we don't do direct business, as you know. So it's important then that we bring in the brokers. That is why pretty much we started with the sponsor to ensure that we cover that gap. Cover the distribution to cover the uninsured markets that you want to intend getting into.
You're speaking right into my heart. The brokers are playing such an important role. It is. I don't always think that they know how important their role is, and maybe we can touch on that. Do you think there's enough brokers servicing that market, the market that suffered under the Sasria riots, for example. We need brokers.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that part of the market is not adequately serviced for various reasons. So the first reason is that obviously we're talking about a lot of low volume. I mean, a high volume, but rather low exposure.
Low numbers.
So it means pretty much the revenue that could potentially be generated from those would not really interest some of the really largest entities that are there that would be able to distribute to them. So it is important then to ensure that you bring in the brokers that would be able to find that business lucrative. So that's the first part. And then obviously there isn't enough that has been done now currently to provide thought leadership, to provide information, to provide enough training and help in bringing the brokers to a level where they can adequately service and advise those markets. Because my view is that those markets are a bit more difficult to serve because the level of education the broker needs to provide, coupled with the advice they need to give, really has to be on point for them to be able to understand. Because the biggest insight, I'm going to put this spin on you, is that most of those markets, they are not aware that they actually need a Sasria, for an example. Yeah. So they have a lot of risks that they're not conscious of. And obviously, for them to be able to understand that they actually could be affected by this risk at a minimal cost. As you know, Sasria doesn't really cost much to have insurance. So those markets really need Sasria, and they actually need to get someone to make them understand that they have those legitimate risks that could potentially affect their livelihoods. And it's part of some of the campaigns that we'll be running, that you'll be seeing in the next few months as well, to make Sasria relevant and known actually to the end user themselves, to have that psychological contract with them, with us rather. So all of that has to be done in line with preparing not only the market itself, but preparing the delivery channels and the distribution channels that we're getting into. So no, not enough has been done. And we intend to do a whole lot to partner with various partners, to partner with, we call them agent companies, the insurance companies, to partner with brokers as well, as part of empowerment to ensure that the market is much more diverse than what it is currently.
I like what I hear, because that was actually my next question to you was, do you think that the brokers realize the important role of education? And you basically just answered that, because I think even brokers servicing the middle income group, I don't know, and I'm not sure that they always realize how important the education part of this is, because often we assume our clients know things just because we operate in this industry. But I think there is a massive amount of education that needs to happen, explaining consequences if you miss premiums. It's basic stuff. But yeah, the role of education is critical, and I'm very excited to hear that there's some plans happening. And I would love to hear more of that at some point. But speaking obviously then of advice, and you mentioned Sasria cover, but don't you think it's time for some innovation in the product space? We've got a massive database, a base of possible clients who can't afford big premiums. And it's like you say, the normal broker, the numbers are big, but the income will be very low. It's time for innovation, don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely time for innovation. In fact, there is one product that we recently launched. We call it F4 in terms of our own internal communication. So pretty much all it is a Sasria insurance product that is aimed at small to medium enterprises, in particular. But I think that the reason why we haven't really made a lot of noise about it as yet is because coming up with innovative products and appropriate product that could to really cover the need of the clients out there is one part of the spectrum.
Yes.
The other part of it is that you obviously need to have your business model, your operating model to be able to handle that type of business if it comes through, and when it comes through. And most importantly, your distribution channel is the most important part as well. So that is why, as part of not just the distribution channel component of it, the preparing for the brokers, and the entities that will be getting to the clients themselves is critically important, because it would expose them more than actually anybody else, because they need to advise. So we need to make sure that they also themselves are at a level where they can articulate the risks that are associated with Sasria in particular. So we'll be doing a lot of webinars in the next few months. We're going to be doing a lot of sessions with the various entities, with FAA as well. So we'll be doing a whole lot of those, because we've realized that actually there's not enough information out there about Sasria in particular. So then when that has been done, then it puts us in a better position then to then go out there and say, we are now looking to implement these various ones. So just a glimpse is that we're doing quite a lot of research, some feasibility studies right now, particularly into not only the SMMEs, but into the individual clients as well. Because I mean, someone who lives in Soweto, for an example, who has a house that is worth, say, 300,000, in the past, they could have thought that they couldn't easily be affected by what we cover, because it is important to also understand what is it really that Sasria covers, and that what Sasria covers is not covered by your traditional insurance companies as well,
100%.
And what public unrest means as one of our perils, It's just something that normally starts as a protest, and a protest is actually legal, and it's actually a legislative right for people to be able to protest, but it's supposed to be peaceful. Then the minute it escalates into other things, it becomes an unrest. Then there's looting, there's arson, as you've seen. There's a whole lot of additional underlying perils that come from public unrest. So all of those things need to be clarified and really be brought into fore. And we'll be doing a lot of product messaging as well, which we have been doing. But I have to mention this, the most important part of what we'll be doing now, because there has been product messaging. So we're going to be leveraging off that to do specific brand messaging now. So looking at, we've determined already what is our identity, a specific archetype that is attributed to particularly Sasria. We've in the past been seen as a caregiver, but obviously because we are a monopoly in the space that we're in, we have to be seen as a leader as well, a thought leader, someone who comes first and drives the narrative, have webinars, and we want who's driving really the information about what is happening right now. So we can't be seen to be on the background. We are going to be on the forefront. So all of those things we'll be doing in the next few months. So that's pretty much why I've been brought in as well. Pretty much, I always say, joke to the MD to say that I've been given a dual mandate to come in here to maintain sustainability and to make Sasria relevant. And Sasria has a dual mandate, as you say, as well. So each one of our mandates, it fits in with each one of the Sasria mandates.
Yes.
It's like a perfect match. But
yes.
I mean, as I say, as we move forward, you'll see a lot of brand messaging that is going out there. We're trying to uncover the risks that people don't perceive them to be risks, so that they understand that this could affect their livelihoods, create a distribution channel for those markets, create a business model that could be able to plug into those distribution channels. And in addition to that, then we are able to access those markets after we've done a lot of research like we're doing right now, into understanding really psychographically, demographically, who are these markets, how do we get to them, what are the aggregation points where there's flow of cash in between, so that we could partner with various partners, so that we could be able to do that, because we're not really a direct insurer, as I've mentioned. So all of those things, we're looking at it holistically rather than looking at innovation as a product. So innovation is innovation in respect of distribution, in respect of business model, how you operate, and how you are perceived out there. That psychological contract for me with the end user is critically important, because right now some Sasria clients don't even know they're insured by Sasria. They think they're insured by the underlying insurer. And obviously there is a reason why we are linked in the hip like that, because of how we distribute, but that clarity needs to be brought in. That's pretty much what we're working towards.
That's very exciting, and what excites me is definitely the fact that I didn't bring you in after the riots. It's clear.
So I came into the fire.
You are reactive. No, it's not. So yeah, it's exciting. It's really a pity that these riots happened, because I see some amazing and great plans happening in Sasria. So I will definitely keep an eye on that. And I'm sure we will have another chat again because we play an important part in educating as well. It was fantastic to chat to you, Muzi. Very happy to have met you, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations. Thank you very much for your time in a very hectic time at Sasria.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We'll chat again soon.
Thank you.